And I also want you to know that each person here today is a volunteer, giving their time and talent from the goodness of their heart. No one here is compensated today. Graham Kolditz from Washington University in St. Louis. He is the chief of the Division of Public Health Sciences and the Nice Gain Professor of Surgery and Professor of Medicine. John D. Groupman, the Anna M. Bezier Professor of Environmental Health at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health and the Associate Director for Cancer Prevention and Control at the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. David Katz, whom you've just heard, the Ronald B. Herbermann Memorial Speaker for 2015, and the founding director of Yale University's Yale Griffin Prevention Research Center. Christopher Lafredo is Professor of Oncology and co-director of the Cancer Prevention and Control Program of the Lombardi Comprehensive Cancer Center at Georgetown University. Debbie Rafael, Director of the Department of the Environment for the County of San Francisco, California, and former Director of the Department of Toxic Control Substances for the State of California. Mark Schwartz, Professor of Oncology and co-director of the Cancer Prevention and Control Program and Research Director of the Fisher Center for Familial Cancer Research at the Lombardi Comprehensive Cancer Center of Georgetown University. He works together with Dr. Christopher Lafredo. And David Wadowski, Director of the Division of Chemistry, Economics, and Sustainable Strategies within the Environmental Protection Agency's Office of Chemical Safety and Pollution Prevention. Please give a warm applause to each of these extraordinary individuals. Now we're going to aim for a dynamic exchange of ideas and insights today. I will ask a question to each panelist in alphabetical order, and then if another panelist would like to add their comments or insights, please do so. And Dr. Katz, that will be your particular role. As our memorial speaker, you're free to comment on anything anyone says, please. Okay.
The vast majority of colon cancer can be prevented by lifestyle factors plus screening for colon cancer. And there we get, as David said from the EPIC study, if you put together the risk factor profile, we could prevent 85% or more of colon cancer.
There were two seminar speakers that came that had a profound impact on me as a student. One was a person named Irving Selikoff, who was at Mount Sinai Hospital and really characterized asbestos exposure, particularly among shipyard workers. And I remember as a student hearing his seminar, he made this presentation about 5 shipyard workers who were exposed on a single day working in a shipyard during World War II. They were exposed to asbestos and they all developed mesothelioma. And I remember being struck by that, by saying, a single exposure like that could actually lead to cancer. And then a few months later, there was a molecular biologist who gave a seminar, and this is a person named Bruce Ames. Bruce held up a bag of potato chips. And he said, I'm a molecular biologist, and I read the back of this bag of potato chips, and I see all the stuff that's in there. It all can't be good.
300 to 400 million people in the world with things like liver flukes and blood flukes that can lead people down the line to liver cancer, bile duct cancer, and to bladder cancer. And so in working overseas, particularly in Egypt, where I started working 15 years ago, in a population that has the highest, the worst rate of hepatitis C in the world, gave me some insights in what can happen to a country when something like an infectious disease that sets up a person for decades of chronic infection that they're not aware of, how that can get out of hand, and what lessons could be learned from that here in the United States. And regarding bladder cancer, we observed something similar in the sense that tobacco smoking is out of control in men. In many countries, women don't really smoke very much. There are many sort of social, cultural traditions that tend to keep it lower in women, but in men, the rate can be over 50% and going higher.
We can't wait any longer. We cannot wait for the federal government to take action on the kinds of things that John was talking about, this loophole where companies are not required to investigate the chemicals that they are selling. They're not required to tell us what's in their products, and they're certainly not required to make products differently. And in fact, he's right when he showed you the two product lines, one for Europe and one for the US. So what we're doing in California is we have put in place a law that will require manufacturers who want to sell products into California to ask a really different question. And that question is not, is it legal for me to make this product with a toxic chemical? Because certainly it is. The question is it necessary? Is it necessary for us to make carpet adhesive that has a carcinogen that's going to off-gas into your home and office space? Is it necessary to have lipstick contaminated with lead? Is it necessary to put endocrine disruptors in children's toys? Because actually the answer to that question is almost always no. It's not necessary. There's a safer alternative.
We're not there yet, but there are some examples where we've come relatively far down the road. I think the best example, and an example that most of you are probably aware of, is the example of genetic testing for breast and ovarian cancer susceptibility, so BRCA1 and BRCA2 genetic testing. And this is testing that is generally targeted to families with an extensive family history of breast and ovarian cancer. And individuals in those families, healthy, unaffected individuals, can learn with a positive genetic test result that they have a mutation that predisposes them to develop breast or ovarian cancer, breast and ovarian cancer, and they have a variety of options for reducing the risk for both of those diseases.
If you look at the Energy Star label, you pretty much know what it means. You see a water sense label, those of us who go to the home repair stores and have to replace plumbing fixtures, pretty much know what a water sense label means. Our Design for the Environment Safe Product Labeling Program is a label that is on chemical products. So the idea behind this program is that by having a label where every ingredient is assessed against rigorous and in some cases difficult standards to achieve, the consumer, whether it's a private consumer or buying products for your house, your family that your pet's going to get exposed to, if you're a custodian for elementary school or high school, or manage a janitorial superintendent for a college, for dormitories, classrooms, or laboratories, or hospitals, you can be assured that the products that bear this label meet our stringent requirements, that there are transparent requirements and criteria standards, and that you can verify those through the transparency that we have available on our website.
There is something between a nanny state, where we're all bossed around all the time, and ninnies who think that nothing ought to be regulated, we should have to inquire whether or not that loaf of bread comes with mercury added because it makes it crusty. Right? I mean, some of this needs to happen for us, and then we can be personally responsible for the stuff that's reasonably within our purview. But I think to get the message out of this room, we do need to make it clear that actually if we use regulation well, as is represented on this panel, we don't need to use it down. We don't need to be told what to do if we facilitate good choices and empower people to act on them. But I think collectively we have to do a better job of characterizing, clarifying, identifying those options in the middle. Because right now we do seem to gravitate to the poles where, you know, on the one hand we call one another nannies, and on the other we call them ninnies who want nothing regulated, and we would all benefit from a world with less cancer and other bad stuff if we could come together in common cause, on common ground, and follow the middle path.